But mentioning the GOAT conversation,
Hey,
Scottie Pippen says
is he
Michael
Pippen?
Jordan was a Kippen. Sometimes I can't talk on this thing. No, but Scottie Pippen said Michael Jordan was a horrible teammate.
Man,
Skip way in on Scottie's comments.
did you just call me Skip?
I did call you Skip. Skip.
Skip. But
Sticks
but
way in on Scottie's comments, bro.
man, so the crazy thing about Scottie Pippen is everything was cool before The Last Dance. Everything was cool between
100%.
him and Mike before The Last Dance came out. And that's whenever Scottie felt like he was slighted in his performances and what he gave to the Bulls team on that run to get those 6 titles. So he's been, over the past 2020 is whenever The Last Dance came out. And since that came out, he has publicly bashed Michael Jordan. He has publicly said that LeBron is the greatest player to ever play the game. He has publicly, talked about a lot. He put out a book, talking about different things about Mike and the team and, basically a biography about how he, everything that was going on with him. So he's been on a 3-year run with doing appearances and on social media, putting the book out and just talking about how Mike has been a terrible player. And he came out and said that, prior to them getting that team together that they got together, Mike was a bad teammate. He was taking terrible shots. It was all one-on-one, and then whenever he got there and they got that team together, that's when they started winning championships. And it's just weird to see their dynamic go down the drain because of now it was a documentary. It was a great documentary. I like the documentary myself, but I was watching a video on YouTube about the documentary. It was a guy that just kind of summed everything up, and it was very egocentric whenever it comes to the talk around Mike. It was very egocentric, and he had all control about what they talked about. He had, and it was basically basically about
Mike had
him.
all control of it, right?
100%. Yeah. Mike had all control about what they talked about on the documentary, and it was basically Michael Jordan. It was kind of like Dave Ruffin and the Temptations, like anybody coming to see you, you know what I'm saying, type of thing. So it was like Mike and the role players, that's what everybody else was. And Scottie felt slighted, and not even to mention the fact that whenever they were going through those seasons, Mike was making $33 million a year, and Scottie Pippen was making $2 million a year. Now, whose fault is that? It's Scottie's, because he signed that long-term, 8-year contract. But he just kind of felt slighted. And Scottie was a great basketball player. Even whenever Mike retired and went to go play baseball, Scottie led that team to the playoffs by him. Not necessarily I wouldn't say by himself. I'm not going to say that. But he was the star of the team whenever Mike left. So Scottie had a lot to say, bro. What do you feel about Scottie's comments, bro?
I feel like these are his true feelings. And I get confused, but I feel like these are his true feelings. And the reason why I feel like they're his true feelings is because in 2011, he said that LeBron was better than Michael Jordan. He said that LeBron right now, he gets knocked because he takes bad. This was in 2011. LeBron gets knocked because he doesn't take the last shot and all of that. But overall, he's way better. He's a better player. He'll go down as being the better player than Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan will be considered the greatest scorer ever, but LeBron James will be considered the best player ever. And then that stance changed in 2018. I guess Jordan came and checked him a bit, and he went on to say, he can't envision any scenario where he picks LeBron over Michael Jordan in a game. Mm-hmm. And then, like you said, The Last Dance came out. He felt some type of way, I'm sure, and now he's back on. LeBron James is statistically the best basketball player that has ever lived. But he still has Mike in his top 5, which, I mean, you can't, he played with him, right? So he obviously knows firsthand the capabilities of Michael Jordan. But to say what he has been saying the last couple of years, he's a horrible teammate. LeBron's better, and that's a matter of opinion. We can't knock him for having his opinion, even though he played with one of the best players ever and arguably everybody's consensus GOAT. you, to say what you said, and then now to then also have him in your top five. I don't know how I feel about that. That's why I get confused, because he counter argues his statements all the time, and what he says 1 minute, he then comes back with something else, and then he says something else that's against what he said 2 years ago. So I mean, you kind of wonder if he's going through some type of whatever that's just set him off. I don't know. Obviously, people will say he's also upset because of another situation, which I don't think he's upset about that, if we're being honest.
Nah, but Larsa
But
is out there going crazy with Michael Jordan's son. So
yeah. Yeah, but I mean, I think ultimately he feels betrayed by Jordan, Michael Jordan, and how he was presented in The Last Dance. But these are his true feelings. He tried to play by the rules of Jordan and get on the wagon when it comes to who's the greatest of all time. But then after he got on the wagon, he was kind of slapped in the face with The Last Dance, and him not making a lot of money, his decision to sit out that last shot that Tony Kukoc did.
I saw that too.
It was Michael Jordan's team, and even when Jordan left to go play baseball, he would come back to practice and run practices and stuff like that. So it's like, all right, you was just God over here. All right, who was I? You know what I mean? So
Right.
I definitely think, like you said, it stems from this Last Dance thing, and now he's feeling some type of way, and he's going to make sure that everybody knows how he feels about Michael Jordan, and not only Michael Jordan, Phil Jackson apparently. So
Phil Jackson too, yeah, because he said it. He went on Dan Patrick and said about that Tony Kukoc shot that it was a matter of race. You know what I'm saying? It was, he blatantly, not necessarily blatantly called it, but Dan Patrick was like, that means you calling Phil Jackson a racist. And he was like, I ain't got no problem with that. I was like, dang, like what is Scottie, what are you doing?
Find out, I mean, his statements may not be far off.
They might not be. So I mean, it's one of those things where it's like Scottie had, like D'Lo said, Scottie has a firsthand look at who everybody says is the consensus greatest of all time. He played with him for a decade. And LeBron James, he's watching in live action. So you have the pleasure of playing with the GOAT, or people's GOAT, the people's GOAT, and you have the pleasure of watching a GOAT in action. So you're gonna have your opinions. My opinion is that LeBron is the GOAT. My opinion is that. You know what I'm saying? Not saying that Michael Jordan ain't a GOAT, but LeBron is the greatest player to ever play basketball, to me personally. And I don't really, knock Pippen for saying what he's saying, but the flip-flopping, contradictory going back and forth from Mike and LeBron, and it looks like it's stemming from just your emotions about how you feel about the documentary, is, you kind of lighten your argument a lot. Like you don't have your footing in this argument doesn't stand, because you went from Mike to Jordan. I mean, you went from Mike to LeBron, back to Mike, and now back to LeBron. So, like, which one is it, my nigga? Like, which one is it? But to call him a terrible teammate and to call him a bad player, that's crazy. That's
where
crazy.
I was going to go next. That's where I was going to go next. Is how can you say? I can understand you may have issues with his leadership skills,
right?
As was apparent in The Last Dance. Like, and Mike even admitted maybe his leadership style was not for everybody, but he got the best out of the player, his teammates, that he could, and ultimately 100%. Is how they won the games they won. So I can see you may have an issue with his leadership style, but to say he was a horrible basketball player from a basketball standpoint, listen, like you said, you got LeBron as your GOAT. I mean, I'm gonna say 1A, 1B. It is what it is.
You don't want Pops to be on your ass.
Yeah, Pop, I don't want my dad on my ass, bro. But it's no way. As he said, there's no scenario where I'm taking Michael Jordan over. I'm taking LeBron James over Michael Jordan. I'm gonna say there's no scenario in my mind where Michael Jordan is a horrible basketball player. Not one. So for him to say that, it really shows that he's coming off right now as disgruntled and petty for what has happened to him or how he was portrayed in that last dance.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're being honest, it wasn't that bad. Yeah,
Nah,
he's always been the unanimous or ultimate Robin. So
ultimate.
I don't know. I don't know if he wanted to feel like Superman and Batman. I don't know, but he wasn't portrayed that bad
Mm-mm.
in that last dance. So for him to really feel like this now or come out and say all this now is like you
It's
said, he doesn't really have a leg to stand on because now he's just coming off as disgruntled.
100%. And it's more so about how I think the one thing that really pissed Scotty off in the last dance was that Michael Jordan called him selfish for getting that surgery at the end of the year when he could have got it over the summer, before the season started, and been ready for the season. But but Mike felt like he was trying to hold, Krause's, feet to the fire to change his contract. So if I ain't here, you're gonna have to do something with me by the end of the year. Once I get this surgery and I come back healthy, you're gonna have to fix my contract. You have to pay me more, which I can't remember. I don't even think it happened because Krause blew the team up. You know what I'm saying? After that last season, he didn't bring Phil Jackson back. Uh, Michael Jordan went back into retirement because he wasn't going to play for another coach until he came back for the Bullets, but for the Wizards, but whatever. And then of course Scotty went on to go to the Blazers. So it didn't happen. I don't know if the Blazers. I don't even know what the Blazers contract was to Scotty, but I'm pretty sure it was better than what the Bulls gave him. But I'm gonna have to look that up and research it to get that information. But Krause won't do nothing with that team. He told them before the season started, this would be the last dance. This would be it. So for you to try to hold his feet to the fire, that won't gonna work, my boy, because he already had his mind made up before the season even started. So you should have got the surgery before, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, he just coming off as very disgruntled. So I mean, I don't agree with what he said. I do understand his emotion, but I don't agree with what's coming out of his mouth. Because
Yeah,
just like we said, there's no vision in my mind that Michael Jordan was ever in life
ever.
a terrible basketball player. Never.
Ever. Yeah, I don't know. But it just shows that we are complex beings and the smallest thing
100%.
can set us on a different trajectory, because those two were perceived as best friends,
Yeah.
and they had a rich history together, a winning history together. And usually, when you're a part of a winning organization, winning
Hmm.
culture, whatever that winning is, whenever winning is involved, the individuals that are included in that you hold fondly.
Hmm.
And to see these two now with the type of relationship that they apparently have is crazy and beyond belief to me. But again, it just shows the type of complex individuals and humans that we are, that
Yeah.
you can take that winning history and then a little spat or a little speckle of an event happens, and now you separate yourself from a person that you created a lot of great memories with.
Right. And it just sucks, man. I mean, because Scotty is the one that's kind of throwing it down the drain as far as their friendship. Um, Michael Jordan ain't said much about none of this, honestly, because he's winning the argument. To be perfectly honest with you, he's winning the argument. Everybody still thinks the Michael Jordan is the GOAT, so Mike ain't got to say nothing. But Scotty is just trying to get he's trying to get his voice out there, man, and he's trying to kind of voice how he feels. And I don't blame him for it, but you gotta be chill, bro. You just gotta chill out.
100%.
Thank you for watching this video. If you haven't already, make sure you go ahead and subscribe to the channel, like the video, hit that notification bell so you miss none of the content. Also, you can find us on all your streaming platforms, wherever you find your podcasts.